Whew, it's a bit nipply. Good morning. I know this live stream is extremely late, but I'm glad to see that I already have 3 likes. So I appreciate y'all for taking the time to come through and leave a like, even though I didn't start the stream on time. You know what I'm saying? I was planning on doing this on Friday or Thursday on my way back to South Carolina, but I'm glad I didn't because, well, no. I was planning on doing this yesterday, but it's a beautiful morning. You know what I'm saying? Clear blue skies, but it's like 40 something degrees right now, but I'm out here getting it in. You know what I'm saying? I was going to head to the park to do my sprints and all that, but I decided, why not ruck today? Why not ruck while I explain this whole situation with the DOD authorizing lethal force? Kangar J was good. How you doing this morning, man? So look, do me a favor, y'all, and share this out, because it's important that, you know, people know what's going on and recognize what's going on with this whole situation. So I'm going to explain it. Lulu, what's good? It's been a minute, Lulu, since I seen you up in here. Thank you for coming through. Thanks for hitting the like button, y'all. Please share this out. We need people to see this. You know what I'm saying? And also, I want to give a shout out to Second Legacy, the YouTube channel, because they brought this to my attention. And, you know, they explained it pretty well. They explained the situation, but I want to expound on what they were about on this situation. I want to expound on it because I'm going to use this to explain and to drive home further why we do not want to continue to consent to be governed by this corporation that we call the United States, because it is a corporation. And so we have to have that understanding that we're being controlled and ruled by an organization that is being operated and is owned by the bankers. All right? The bankers. So just understand that, right? Have that understanding that this is a corporation operated and owned by the bankers. And just like with any other normal corporation, you know, you do not have to continue to be an asset. You know, I got to get my squats in. You do not have to continue to be an asset for this corporation. The corporation, they do not own us. And the only reason they have so much control over us is because we give our consent. Even me. Even myself, I'm giving my consent because I'm continuing to go to work. And I continue to use their services. You know, really, it's our services. Anything that the government so-called provides to us is really our shit. So go with that understanding as well. If you were born here and you have a Social Security card, a Social Security number, and you have a birth certificate, you know, you are part owner of this system. But, you know, of course, it doesn't appear to be that way because we give our consent to be governed and we have these people telling what we can and can't do. Lulu Coffee is up. I'm on the West Coast. Appreciate that, Lulu. You know, not bad for a 44-year-old man, right? Not bad at all. Even though you can kind of, you know. Anyway, and I feel good. I feel great. So, let me get into this, y'all. So, the Department of Defense has issued a directive, and it came out in September 27th of this year. This directive are essentially you know, a directive that has been in place since 2016. And it has been recently updated. Like I said, September 27th of this year. I'm doing lunges right now. And what it basically does is it adds some language regarding how involved, you know, the certain branches of the military can be in assisting, you know, civil authorities, right? Like civil law enforcement, you know, non-military law enforcement, how involved they can be in dealing with basically crowd control and civil unrest. So here's the thing about that. Civil unrest. Who determines what civil unrest is? And at what level of the civil unrest can, you know, these people get involved? That's the question, right? So we don't know that. And in regards to a lot of the situations that we deal with our government and how they choose to operate, which is at their discretion. They operate at their discretion with how they want to deal with the people. And so there is no set barometer on how much involvement they can have. And so we don't even know what level of civil unrest they would consider to be enough to have a certain level of involvement. You know, that's completely up to them. Completely up to them, right? So what is it? At what level do you escalate? When people start shooting, when people start throwing shit, when people start setting shit on fire, at what point do you get involved to the point where you're allowed to use lethal force? Now, lethal force is now part of this directive. You know what I'm saying? And I want y'all to understand that they're going to, if you look this shit up, there are going to be certain websites that are going to call this a rumor. Oh, there are rumors that the DOD authorized lethal force in civilian situation, blah, blah, blah. It's not a fucking rumor. It's a fact. And I have the document. Of this directive. I got it from the military website, DOD.mil, or something like that. But it's real shit, y'all. The use of lethal force is in this document. So it's a directive, meaning that the DOD is telling the military that they can use lethal force in certain situations involved in civil unrest and all that shit, right? So I want y'all to understand, this ain't no fucking rumor. Kelvin Black, yes, they changed it in September. And I'm gonna whip out the document, y'all, on my other phone. Yes, sir. I'm gonna whip it out for you. All right. Now, this is where I got this from, esd.whs.mil. All right. That's a military website, you know, and it's on a PDF, and the document number is DOD 5240.01, and it was issued September 27th of 2024, this year. All right. Now, the name of the document, right, is, hold on, the DOD Directive 5240 .01, DOD intelligence and intelligence-related activities, and defense intelligence component assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. That's basically saying, you know, how they can assist law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. Is giving them the, you know, the parameters and all that within which they can assist, right? So that's what that's talking about. Now, here's the thing. If you go watch Second Legacy talk about it, you'll hear Braden say that it's separate from the military, and it's not. The intelligence, military intelligence is part of the military. It's not separate from that. You understand? The DOD is the U.S. military. The Department of Defense is an umbrella for all the military branches, and it operates out of the Pentagon. And defense intelligence is part of the military. You understand? Defense intelligence is part of the military. And the military is not supposed to operate within the United States and is not supposed to be assisting civil law enforcement. It's not supposed to do it. And that was established, hell, the century before last. You know what I'm saying? The Posse Comitatus Act. It basically prohibited the military from assisting law enforcement in civil issues. They're not supposed to, under certain, well, there are certain exceptions. And those exceptions are very extreme. Like, you can't just do it because, oh, they're having a riot over there. Oh, there's a civil disturbance. Oh, there's a civil, no, that's not that's not part of what they're allowed to do. That's not one of the exceptions. And the defense intelligence is part of the military. It just is. So when they tell you, oh, it's not part of the military, it is. Don't let them fool you. Not saying Braden is trying to fool you, but I think he just lacks understanding in that regard. It's just not what it is. Kangar J says, I heard somebody talk about that in one of Lucas's live stream earlier. He was explaining in regards to the order giving the National Guard a green light. He said it was passed recently last month. He was explaining in regards to the order giving. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's another thing we need to understand, that the National Guard is part of the U.S. military, right? They try to tell you, oh, no, it's a state militia. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not state militia. You understand? National Guard is not a militia. It's not the state militia. Because at any point in time, the United States president can activate them and send them overseas to participate in wars. So if that were the case, you know, you can't do that with a militia. A militia operates within its own little area, its own little region. So if there's a state militia, that state militia cannot be controlled by the United States government. Militias are, you know, controlled and operated by civilians. That's the whole point. But anyway, I'm going to go down in this document and, hold on. I'm going to go down to the part where it talks about the lethal force. And that's basically going to be, if you go down in the document, it's going to be at 3.3 levels of authority. Specifically, both Army and Air Force. Well, yeah. There because there is no Marine National Guard or Navy National Guard. You have Marine Reserves and Navy Reserves, but they don't have National Guards. So yeah, it would be Air National Guard and Army National Guard. So I'm going down when it talks about levels of authority, and it says Secretary of Defense approval. Now that is a key statement there. Secretary of Defense approval. That means that this directive was approved by the Department of the Defense Secretary. What is the Department of Defense Secretary? Is that the Congress and the Senate? Who gives him that authority? But I'm gonna get into that later. But I'm gonna read this. Now, if you go to Secretary of Defense approval and under levels of authority, let me just read the paragraph under levels of authority. It says, subject to defense, to paragraph 3.1, defense intelligence components may provide personnel, military personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or a local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger. In response to a request for such assistance in accordance with the following approval authorities. You understand? So, federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, local law enforcement. So there is no limit to the level of assistance they can give to any jurisdiction or anything, right? They have that authority now. Now, if you go to 1, right, under that it says the Secretary of Defense may approve any type of requested permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2. All right. And then you go down to 2, it says the decision to approve, let me blow that up. Request for these types of permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2 to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities are reserved to the Secretary of Defense. So, the Secretary of Defense may approve any of these levels of assistance, right? Now, I'm not just going to read the one. I'm going to go through all these, A through D, all right? Subsections A through D. So A says, provision of personnel to support response efforts for civil disturbances, which may also require presidential authorization, which may, not shall, but may. These terms are very important. May and shall are two different things. So may means that, it can happen. The president may approve it, but he don't really have to. They don't have to get presidential authority. You understand? Based on this directive. Which was issued by the Secretary of Defense. The president doesn't have to give the go ahead, give the authority. Shall and may are two different things. Y'all need to, these terms are very important in these documents. So under B it says, DOD responds to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high yield explosive incidents. That is also very important. I'm going to touch on that too. You understand? And I was telling y'all about all these people coming over here and how they're going to use that. You understand? I believe, I don't know this for a fact, of course. This is me issuing conjectures. I believe that they're going to use these millions and millions of people to initiate a Hegelian dialectic act. A Hegelian dialectic act. Problem, reaction, solution. All right. So there's going to be a problem. We're going to react, and they're going to provide a pre-planned solution. That's how this is going to work. Now I'm doing knee raises. Okay. So, let's see. Jim Ketchum was good. Well-traveled man on YouTube just dropped a video on this. This totally flies in the face of posse comitatus. Yes, I'm going to talk about that as well. Now, C, it also, think about this. It also violates the Fifth Amendment, right? Kinda. But best believe they're going to violate the Fifth Amendment if they have to do this. They're going to run all up and through people's houses. The military, yes. Anyway, so that's D. Now let's talk about C. Assistance in response with assets with potential for lethality. All right. Assistance in response with assets with potential for lethality, or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. Let me read that again. In assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality. Now, see, I'm talking about these words, right? Because they're going to try to manipulate the facts. They're going to try to tell you, oh, no. They're talking about providing assistance if somebody is doing something lethal. No. That's not what this is saying. This is saying assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality. That means the assets that they are responding with. Assets. So assets, that's another good term. Assets means that basically assets that the military is using or the government's using. That's basically what it's saying. So if you're a military or government asset, that means you're working for the military. So it says assets with potential for lethality. So that means that the assets can respond with lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. So that means that they can respond in situations where they might have to use lethal force or cause serious bodily injury that may result in a death or serious bodily injury. They can respond with lethal force. You understand? that may result in death or serious bodily injury. This is what they're telling y'all. You understand? So let's keep going. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. That means where basically if the police, are responding to like a civil disturbance, what they call, or a riot or a demonstration or anything like that, civil unrest, where the police and the people are getting into it, this is when the military can step in, or these military assets can step in and provide assistance with the potential for lethality. All right, so see, these rumor motherfuckers, these are rumors, this is not true. Listen, man, they're telling you that the military can respond, military assets, right? The DOD can activate military assets to assist law enforcement, and there can be the potential of lethal force. That means they can use lethal force against civilians. They can use lethal force, right? They can use lethal force in response to civil unrest where law enforcement and, civilian people can go at it, right? So let me finish the paragraph. Between civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. Such use of force must be in accordance with DOD 5210.56, potentially as further restricted based on specifics of requested support. And really that's irrelevant because they're going to make it, you know, whatever reasoning that you have to use from that document number they just spewed out, you know, they're going to make it fit. Because all this shit is ambiguous, y'all. It's extremely ambiguous. And, you know, that's just what it is. It's ambiguous on purpose. It's deliberately ambiguous so they can make it fit how they need to make it fit. All right. So let's go to D. D says provisions or use of DOD unmanned systems in the United States, except as delegated by the Secretary of Defense pursuant to the October 31st, 2023 Secretary of Defense memorandum. I need to go look up that memorandum. I can tell you guys I didn't. I want y'all to see. C is pretty bad. C is pretty bad. But I want y'all to think about D. Okay? I want y'all to think about D. What's in there? Provision or use of DOD unmanned systems. Unmanned systems. Think about that. Think about unmanned systems. And when you think about unmanned systems, I want y'all to think about, you know, drones and any other vehicle that is operated in unmanned system. It doesn't say vehicles. It doesn't say conveyance systems. So not just drones, y'all. This is not just drones. It includes drones, but it's not just drones. Do y'all see what's going on here? They can use unmanned systems. The DOD can provide the civilians, the civilian law enforcement, with drones. Not just drones, but any unmanned system. Any remotely controlled unmanned system. Right? Vehicles. I want y'all to think about these electric vehicles and all that other shit. Think about these electric vehicles that are on the road right now. You know, this is crazy, y'all. Bellicose hyperbole 737. Man, I ain't seen you in a minute either. Man, where you been? Military gets involved. AI weapons could be deployed, i.e. drone swarms. Weapons used overseas will be used on. Exactly. This is authorizing all this shit. You understand? Yo, this is fucking serious. So it's not just the lethal force, right? So not only they can provide military personnel, which they're not supposed to do because of the hold on, y'all. I gotta pull these straps. Y'all, they're not only authorized to provide personnel that can use lethal force against your monkey ass. Yeah, they can use lethal force. They have the potential, right? They can provide assets with the potential for lethality against us, against their own people, right? We're paying for them to, we're paying for them to authorize lethal force against us by our own military. But where in here does it say that, oh, they can go down to the border and make sure motherfuckers ain't just rushing up in here that can cause a terrorist attack? You understand? I mean, y'all, this, let me see. There's a lot of interesting shit in here, y'all. That's not just about the lethal force that, you know, the military can do to us. This whole document is interesting. This whole document. And I mean, you know, that's why I read all four, A through D. I didn't just read C. I read y'all A through D. Approval. All right. So this is section B of under levels of authority. Section B. For matters not reserved to the Secretary of Defense in paragraph 3.3 A2, the decision to approve requests for The types of permissible assistance described in 3.2 to law enforcement agencies and civil authorities is reserved to the USD INS. INS. Coordination with the Undersecretary of Defense and Policy is requested of. The number of personnel. So they had to get further approval if the number of personnel exceeds 20. And the duration of the requested assistance exceeds 30 days. So in order to get more than 20 military assets, they have to get authority from the Undersecretary of Defense, right? So that's what that's saying. In coordination with. So, yeah. So it talks about all the different approvals, right? So this is the thing, y'all. Here's the problem, right? This is why I talk about this shit. This is why I go so hard in the paint about your votes and all this bullshit. Y'all so concerned about the goddamn vote. Y'all so concerned about the goddamn vote. Y'all so concerned about the vote for the for the senators and the Congress people. Y'all so concerned about the vote for the president. Y'all so in believing in this idea of, the separation of powers. But y'all had to understand what those powers are that are separated. Right? Y'all have to consider that. What are these powers? Who has what powers? You understand? Because look, again, y'all so concerned about the goddamn vote. Guess what? Y'all don't vote for the military personnel. Y'all don't vote for military leaders, right? They're appointed. They're appointed by the president, right? Well, at least the highest, the highest level military personnel, right? The highest level military leaders, right? But below that, there is a promotion system that we have no control of. Listen, y'all so concerned about the goddamn vote. Y'all so concerned about Democrat, Republican, camel toe versus chump. Well, that's not really what's going on here, right? It doesn't matter who is in these positions, right? Because the president has people around them that advise them and tell them the best course of action, who they should appoint and who they shouldn't appoint. The Secretary of Defense clearly has the most authority in the land outside of the bankers. The bankers just pull the strings, right? Fuck it, goddamn. Jim Ketchum says V for Fidel comes to mind. Yep. Yeah, basically, Kengar J says this is basically the government allowing the armed forces to use the full might. Yes. They had to go through certain approvals, but yeah. Jim Ketchum says Freedom March, all working for the corporation, aka USA Inc. Exactly. The whole panorama of what we see has been weaponized. Exactly. So listen, y'all. I want y'all to think about the people that continue to go against each other and fight and argue about this president or that president when it really doesn't fucking matter. Right? Because we have three branches of government that are supposed to balance the power. We have the judicial branch, we have the legislative branch, we have the executive branch. But which branch has most of the power? Which branch has the most potential, the most potent power? The executive branch. And how is there balance when the executive branch has all the agencies with the enforcers. The executive branch, they have all the enforcers. You might as well call them the enforcement branch. The Senate and the Congress cannot and do not have arrest powers. They cannot activate militaries. They cannot, deploy anybody. They cannot, have anyone arrested. You understand? Except for in the halls of Congress, they have like a sergeant at arms that can do that type of shit. But, who has all the military? Which branch has all the military, all the law enforcement agencies under its control? The executive branch. You understand? So yes, we have the Posse Comitatus Act that prohibits the military from assisting with assisting law enforcement agencies in any regard, except for a few exceptions. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit, but I want y'all to understand that this Posse Comitatus Act was brought into law by Congress and the Senate. Yet, they just disregard it and do whatever the fuck they want to do. You understand? It's disregarded. This directive that the Secretary of Defense put out directly conflicts with the Posse Comitatus Act, because the circumstances under which these directives can be used are not one of the exceptions in the Posse Comitatus Act. So I want y'all to understand that, Congress and the Senate, they haven't even said a word about the military getting involved with civilian activities. So, let me see. Let's see. All right. Legislation, exclusions. All right, so here I'm going to read some of it from. Okay, so Section 15 of this piece of legislation, Chapter 15. It's Section 15 of Chapter 263 of the Acts of the Second Session of the 45th Congress. Section 15. From and after the passage of this act, it shall not be lawful to employ any part of the Army of the United States as a posse comitatus or otherwise for the purpose of executing the laws, except in such cases and under such circumstances as such deployment is said force may be expressly authorized by the Constitution, or by act of Congress. Act of Congress. Shaquilla, what's good, sister? Queen Shaquilla. So, I'm going to read that again. All right? It shall not be lawful. Shall. Not may. Shall. Remember I told y'all the difference between shall and may. Shall means that you better. May means, you don't really have to, but, you should consider it. So, shall means you better. BESSA. You better do what the fuck I said. That you shall go wash them dishes. Not you may. No, you shall go wash them dishes. So, all right. So for the purpose of it shall not be lawful to employ any part of the Army of the United States as a posse comitatus or otherwise for the purpose of executing the laws, except in cases and under such circumstances as such employment of said force may be expressly authorized by the Constitution or by act of Congress. And no money appropriated by this act shall be used to pay any of the expenses incurred in the employment of any troops in violation of this section, and any person willfully violating the provisions of this section shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and on conviction thereof shall be punished by fine not exceeding $10,000 or imprisonment not exceeding 2 years, or by both such fine and imprisonment. So that means that the Secretary of Defense, right, the guy who issued this directive, should be arrested. He should be fined, and he should be imprisoned. Either or, fined or imprisoned, or both. All right. Now, the text of the relevant legislation is as follows: U.S. of Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Space Force as posse comitatus. That means all the motherfuckers, not just the Army. Whoever, except in cases under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or Space Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to excuse the laws shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years, or both. All right, here's another provision. Restriction in direct participation by personnel. The Secretary of Defense shall prescribe such regulations as may be necessary to ensure that any activity, including the provisions of equipment or facility, or the assign or detail of any personnel under this chapter, does not include permit direct participation by a member of the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine Corps in search, seizure, arrest, or other similar activities, unless participation in such activity is such by member otherwise authorized by law. All right. So what does that say? And then they have, other shit. All right. Now, the president may employ armed forces to restore public order and enforce the laws of the United States when, as a result of natural disaster, epidemic, or serious public health emergency, terrorist attack, or incident, or the condition of the president determines that domestic violence has occurred in such extent that constituted authorities and of the state are possession of the capable of maintaining public order. All right. President. So it goes on to talk about domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy of such so hinders the execution of laws that any part or class of its people is deprived of any right, privilege, or immunity, or protection named in the Constitution and secured by law, or opposes or obstructs execution of laws in the United States, impedes the course of justice under those laws. All right. So it's basically saying the president can employ forces to restore public order and enforce laws of the United States when, as a result of natural disaster, epidemic, or serious public health emergency, terrorist attack, or incident, or other condition that the president determines that domestic violence has occurred to such extent that the Constitution, that constitutes authorities of the state, or possession of incapable of maintaining public order. All right. So, but understand what it gives them the authority under. This is the president, not the Secretary of Defense, the president. And it has to be like a serious public health emergency, epidemic, terrorist attack, you know what I'm saying? Incident. All right. Not motherfucking civil unrest, not fucking riots and what they consider riots. And in damn show, it does not give the Secretary of Defense the authority to do any of this shit. But here they have done it. You understand? So I want us to understand that, yeah, we place so much emphasis on votes and all this, that. Sugar-free Mars was good. We place so much emphasis in who we vote for and, the left-right paradigm lie bullshit. We place so much emphasis on, all this shit when, they can just come out and put out directives that give, the military personnel the authority to kill us to help law enforcement do whatever the fuck they want to do. You understand? I hope y'all understand that this is serious, right? You know, we have a problem here. This is a problem. So now they're saying that they can deploy troops, right, to assist law enforcement, and that assistance has a potential for lethality. It doesn't even say that where it says the president can deploy, you know, and assist with natural disasters. It doesn't say anything about, oh, but they can kill motherfuckers too. The Secretary of Defense just authorized the U.S. military to use lethal force in assisting law enforcement, right, against civilians within our own corporation, right? The corporation that we get extorted to fund this corporation, they call the United States, right? They send our money everywhere. They send all our money to all these different countries. You know, they extort us, you know, every week. And they don't tell us or even ask us what they can spend our money on. They just do the shit. And then they put out bullshit like this. They put out directives like this where they can say, oh yeah, you know, the military can use lethal force. And they're going to tell you it's bullshit, right? Oh, that's not true. That's not that. Yeah, it said, I read it to y'all. I read directly from the document. Y'all can go look at the document up yourself. DODD, let me give y'all the number again. Let me give y'all the number. Y'all can go to esd.whs.mil, right? The document number is DODD, which stands for Department of Defense Directive 5240.01. All right. DOD, intelligence and intelligence-related activities and defense intelligence component, assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. That right there is already a violation. That is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. That is a direct violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. And no, the Secretary of Defense is not a, he is an appointed official. He is not voted for. No one voted for him to be who did they come to y'all and say, hey, is it okay if we, listen guys, is it okay if we authorize lethal force against you when we provide assistance to the, to civilian authorities? Is that okay with you guys? No. Did anybody send y'all, did they send y'all a letter? Did they reach out to y'all and say, hey, we would like our military to use lethal force against you if you act up against the police? Did they come to y'all and ask y'all that? Did they ask you to vote for it? So Sugar Free Mars says other civil authorities means the white militia that they empower and have always empowered via the exactly. Yes, they did empower them. But see, we have to understand that we have to take that authority for ourselves and form our own shit. But see, that is also why they're trying to outlaw militias. They're trying to do that. So sometimes you got to take shit that they trying to keep from you. See, we always look to ask for permission from our illustrious government to allow us to do certain shit. Well, we need to, it's time to stop asking for permission. It's time to withdraw. You understand? It's time to opt out. It's time to opt out. And that's why I talked about the opt-out party. You know, y'all want a good third party? Here's a good third party, the opt-out party. The party where if somebody is elected from the opt-out party to, you know, have any authority and come up with anything, the opt-out party gives you the ability, any civilian, any person, the ability to opt out from participation in the United States government. So that means that the government will no longer have any authority over you and what you do, what you own. They don't get to tax you, any of that shit. You can live your life as a free individual, as a sovereign individual, as you see fit. And what would then have to happen is the federal government would have to release all these federal lands that they lay claim to. We would have to do away with the IRS. We'd have to do away with the Federal Reserve. We'd have to do away with eminent domain. And from this point on, only those that want to be governed shall be governed. Those that don't want to be governed, those that want true sovereignty, can go on and handle their business and have their business minded. Have them mind their own business. Leave me the fuck alone, mind your own business, you know what I'm saying? And release these lands so that we can go lay claim to these lands that we can operate and own for our goddamn selves and live our lives as we see fit. And you ain't got no say about it. Let's see, here's the thing. Here's how you do it, right? Anybody that opts out gets reparations. Yes, anybody that opts out gets reparations. How does that work? Well, we've been extorted for so many years, right? Let's say I'm 44 years old. I've been extorted. I've been getting extorted for like 20 something years. So that means I get reparations. That means not only do I get to have my own land that I claim, because understand that the United States is over 90-something% rural open space that is unoccupied. So that means that you give me my reparations, not only from my ancestors, but also for being extorted for the last 20 some odd years, right? Then you allow me to go on about my way. So that means I take all those, and I don't want no motherfucking fiat currency. I don't want no fiat currency. I want gold, silver, whatever, land. That's going to be the form of reparation. I don't want the U.S. dollar. No, I want gold, silver, precious metals, real assets. And when I find my land, y'all gonna give me the materials to build my home, to build my shelter, whatever I need to do. And then you leave me the fuck alone. Give me my money back in the form of real assets, and leave me alone. Leave me alone. And that's how that works. That is a party that I'm willing to join. People that talk that type of shit. You understand? Where, because again, people are still, it doesn't matter. People are still going to want to go on with the government. They're going to want to help have someone dictate to them how to live their lives. Some people just want that. They're not true independent people, right? So those people can stay in stay within the confines of the United States government. But those of us who no longer are willing to participate and want our own shit, you got to let us go. And those of you who want to be governed, those of you who want to be ruled over, y'all go ahead and handle that. Leave me the fuck alone. That's what it's really about. The real name of the opt-out party is the Leave Me the Fuck Alone party. Oh, you want some money to go, you want to give some money to the Pakistanis for gender studies? Well, you ain't taking my money for that. Use somebody else's money. Leave my shit alone. Go on about your business. You understand? So, it is what it is, y'all. I'm about to get up off of this. This is serious, y'all. Those of y'all that came in late, y'all can go back and look at the beginning. I read the very crucial components of that directive. This shit is real, y'all. This shit is real. This shit is real. I have no interest in voting at all. I have no interest in voting and submitting to and giving my consent to be governed. I have no interest in that. If that party ain't talking real shit, I have no interest in that party. Until some party comes along that's real, talking about real shit, I'm cool. Anyway, y'all, Marcy T in the building. Much love to you. Jim Catcher says open eyes. Yep. Oh. All right, guys. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go get these tires replaced on my fucking van. Anyway, thank y'all for coming through. Marcy T, Jim Ketchum, 22 Ronan in the building. Can't guard Jay. Jay with open eyes for. Jim Ketchum. I already said that. And Shaquilla, Queen Shaquilla in the building. Bellicose Hyperbole, who I ain't seen in a minute. All y'all. And shout out to my Wi-Fi wife, Sugar Free Mars. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm done with the bullshit, man. When I heard about this shit, I'm done with it. It's time to start making more moves. Time to start making more moves, y'all. The bullshit is over. I suggest we quit arguing over who to vote for and how to make sure that when some shit pop off, we straight. Anyway, much love. Like, share, subscribe, and we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.